Hello everybody, this is Shannon with Beads and Babble. I am here with another tutorial. This is going to be part one of most likely a two sequel tutorial. And I have been pondering about, yikes, got a lot of stuff on my desk, sorry. What I was going to do for the next tutorial, and I have decided that I'm going to show you how to do or how to make something in silver metal clay. But first I'm going to show you how to make your own molds, which is a very economical way to be able to make very unique pieces without spending a ton on the pre-made or fabricated molds that are out there today. The most expensive part of this is going to be your molding compound, your two-part molding, A and B. You can find these at your local Michaels or Hobby Lobby, Amazon. Comes in all different varieties, and which means there's some different colors of it. Also, Cool Tools online sells a really nice mega mold, and you can get quite a bit of molds out of these two part compounds. And it has the directions here. This takes about 20 minutes to cure, which is really great because you don't have to rush. You can make, what I'll do is I'll sit down and make a bunch of them one day and then let them just, I'll go about and do something else and then come back and remove the things that I had put in them to make the mold. Very kind of unique and fun thing to do. I also use it to make fingerprint jewelry or something, specific. This is of my granddaughter Eliana in 2017. It's her fingerprint. You'll have to do a reverse mold on this in order to impress it into the clay. You can also use these molds with polymer clay, not just precious metal clay, but other than that, you can use different forms of clay, polymer clay as well if you're already a polymer clay artist. Today the tools are going to be very simple. You'll need some plastic bag, some kind of, you can also do it on your own work surface, but just to keep it clean, I usually just use either this or a Teflon sheet. But these actually work really good and it doesn't stick to them, so it's a sandwich baggie, freezer baggie, whatever you have on hand. Also an acrylic stamp press. This one, you can get these at the Dollar Tree in their crafting aisle. They come in handy for a lot of things, actually, for sanding, for pressing, and I should say in precious metal clay, these come in very, very handy. So you'll need one of these. A pair of tweezers if you're handling small things. I just find it easier than my fumbly fingers. So this is what your mold will look like after it's been dried and cured for a while. This is, I don't know, let's see, it's depending on the object that you're going to be impressing in it, depends on how thick you're going to want to make your patty. This is about 5 millimeters, and I actually press some metal beads into this, some shell type metal beads, and I like to do multiples on the patty, but give yourself room in between because you're going to be pressing into the mold and it's going to expand and it'll dislodge these if they don't have. And I find that a lot of times it will pop up what you put in there as well if you don't give it enough room around each element that you're trying to get the impression of. So this one is completely cured and dried, and as you can tell, it's very flexible. You can also write on the back of it with a Sharpie what it is, if you want to do that, what size, or if that comes in handy to you. I would recommend storing these where they're not going to get, because they still kind of have a oily, tacky feeling, and they will get dirty and dusty, and you don't want that in your clays. So I would suggest storing these in a closed container or a baggie of some sorts to keep them nice and clean for your upcoming projects. Now, I did these just earlier today, and I used some, I'll bring it in a little bit closer so you guys can see this a little bit better. These are just small metal turtle beads that I had, and I love turtles, so I had to do those. And I like doing multiples of the smaller things. I probably could have put another one in the center, but I don't think I had one here, so that's why I didn't. But as you can see, you can get quite a lot in that patty, which is about 2 inches, a little less. And the depth of this one's probably about the same, 5. Now, this is a check glass button, similar to this one here. And I had to make the patty thicker, of course, to accommodate the dome of this button and the thickness. So you don't want it too thin. So you want, you don't want to press through the bottom of the molding compound. So you can do a variety of things. You can use old buttons, vintage buttons. Maybe you have a jar of them lying around, but these make great impressions. Find a button you like at one of the stores. You can make your own impression and make a pendant, earrings out of them. These are just examples of what you can do with this. And you can also use charms and metal beads. If you want the do the charm and say you don't want this loop here, just take your flush cutters and cut that off and maybe give it a little quick sand so it's smooth, and you can use this and you will get the impression of the turtle. You can leave that in there and then you can drill that after you spread your clay, and you can use that as your drill guide and actually make this out of sterling silver or copper, bronze. But yeah, those are perfectly great for that as well. You can also use glass beads. We got some cat faces, some table cuts with some swallows in it, some elephants. And then there's some other check glass beads there that you could do that make great impressions. We'll do a couple of those. And then these are ceramic beads. I really like these skulls. I think I'll make an impression of those. I also like kind of weird stuff like jellyfish and octopuses and stuff like that. And this, of course, the Egyptian scarabs, which are also great. They're good luck. They ward off all kinds of bad stuff. So that said, I think they're awesome. And you can also make very cool keepsakes for family members or friends, fingerprints, dogs' noses if they let you, paws, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just endless, the stuff you can make with the 2-part mold compound. All right, so, and also, forgot to mention, you can use wire too, which I'll show you how to do that as well. I'll do a couple molds, and you should be an expert by the time I'm done with this. So the secret here is you want equal parts of both compounds, A and B, to make your mold. And what I'll do is I'll take it and just kind of get myself a ball there. The amount really, honestly, is up to you. And I always keep a paper towel handy too, kind of to wipe my fingers down a little bit between each. I don't think it really matters, but I just do it because I don't want to cross-contaminate. I do that in all sorts of things that I do anyway, so I try to keep consistent on my practices. Better for me. So I feel like those are pretty similar, and what you're shooting for here is to blend these by kneading them until they are all through a consistent color all the way through. So just knead it until you get a nice non-streaky color all the way through. Doesn't take very long. And it makes a kind of a pale yellow. And as you can tell, the difference between the drying and the it's kind of more shiny, a darker, more rich yellow. And it just depends on the colors that you're working with. You just don't want any streaks. You want a nice consistent color all the way through the mold compound. And then I'll take and I'll thin it out, and then I'll roll it and kind of smash it. And then I'll give it a good nice roll so I get a ball so I can make my patty. And I try to eliminate any kind of creases. Okay, and then I'm just going to take the smooth side of the acrylic press here, because this has grids and they're a little bit raised. You don't want that impressing upon. I'm going to press this one about maybe a little quarter, less than, just a little bit under a quarter, I think, of an inch. And as you can see, it's pretty nice, the impression of the bag leaves. It's nothing there. It's just literally smooth. So I'm going to use these skulls because I've been dying to use these skull beads. Pretty cool. Pretty detailed too. These are ceramic. I'm going to use my fingers and I'm just going to press about halfway down. That's what I'm shooting for. Now the depth really depends on what you're shooting for. If you want to, I'm going for about half because I'm going to try to use this mold to make some silver, some sterling out of. And also give yourself plenty of room in between each component that you're pressing into the mold so it does not push the other ones that you've already pressed in out. And then I'll take, now that I've got them kind of in there with my finger, I'll kind of go back and kind of, that way I know they're kind of level because I'm sitting the acrylic press on there. And then I'll look at the back. Looks good. I didn't press anything through the back. And then I'm going to leave those. I'm going to set those over there and we're going to see how those turn out. I also like doing multiples because sometimes one impression's better than the other. And you'll get different results. So that's another reason why I like doing different multiples in one mold. So alrighty, and then that's that. I'm going to set that over there because it takes about 15-20 minutes to cure until it's set. And then those will pop right out. Don't worry about it ruining your bead or anything. They will come out. And then I'm going to show you how to do the wire next. This is basically it. And then, like I said, the depth of the patty is going to depend on the depth of the components you're using. So you'll want to at least push halfway, the component at least halfway into the mold. So this is probably about, at its deepest point, it is probably, let's see, 9 millimeters. So you want to go in 4.5 millimeters or so for at least. So that's kind of how you'll want to date it. So you'll want to make your molding compound at least like 6 to 8 millimeters thick. I mean, you don't need a ton, because it's going to give you plenty that, like I said, I mean, there's a little bit of an indent on these, but it's because I was pushing against flat and I might have gotten it a little thin, but it still will work just fine. So now I'm going to grab another equal part of clay. Might be a little much there. And that's another thing. If it's a little bit too much, you can just take some off, put it back in the container, close up the container. I'm knocking stuff all over the floor. It's been one of those days, I'm telling you. One of those weekends, actually. Can't hold on to anything. All right. All right, so we got equal parts, and now I'm just going to push them together and knead them again until I get a non-streaky, consistent color. And I'm sure there's other videos on how to do this, but I thought it might be a good idea because just for cost in general, this is great. I want to say that the 2-part mold compounds run between $25 and $30, but if you do a coupon at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, you can get it for a lot cheaper. So that's always a nice thing too. And like I said, you can get a lot from this. So Then I just kind of go and thin it a little bit with my fingers just to see if we've got a consistent color, and we do. Now this one, I'm not going to make a patty out of it. I'm going to make kind of a tube, or what they would call maybe a snake. What we're going to do, roll it on here. Actually, I think I roll it on my work surface here. And what I'm doing is elongating it so I can press it kind of in that hot dog bun looking it there. And now if you have different wires, you can do several on this patty if you choose. Just setting it there, and then I'm going to use the acrylic block to push it in, folding that down. I'm going to go down here, making sure I'm getting good connection between it and if you have a bigger acrylic block, you can use that as well. And I'm just going over it with my finger just to make sure. And then I'll leave that there. So that'll give a nice impression of that twisted and hammered wire. And you can make ring bands out of that, you know, all sorts of things. It's really cool. And a lot of what got me started in metal clay, I've been doing it, I'm not an expert by any means. I started doing it about 3 years ago because my hands, as I aged, sawing out these little tiny detailed pieces that I might want to accent my rings with, my cuffs with, was getting really hard for me. And also I do like the 3D impressions that I can get with the clay that I can't, you know, unless I cast, which I don't have the casting equipment, and I honestly couldn't. I don't think I could wax carve because my hands are just not what they used to be. Another thing you can buy is pre-made molds. Now this is a silicone mold. It's carried by cooltools.us. They have a wonderful supply of clay making tools, clay. This is called Finishing Touches. It's a silicone mold, like I said, of maple leaves in 6mm, 5mm, and 4mm. I made some of these last night because I would like to accent some of my pieces with these, especially since it's fall. Zoom in a little bit for you here, and I'll pull out. Now these are in the greenware stage, and what this means is they are, get a small one here, they are dry but not fired by the torch or the kiln. So they're fragile. They can be sanded at this point if you want. Very cool though. These have to be put in the kiln and fired because they are the Easy 960, and they're not, this particular clay does not recommend torch firing theirs, but I do have a kiln, so I will be doing that when I need those. And then I just kind of keep them in a container, and I label what clay it is and what it is, just to keep me straight. Now, I also use Metal Magic. It's a very cost-effective, one of the, I should say, cheaper silver clays, sterling silver clays. I've made butterflies. These are also easy, easy finishing touches molds from Cool Tools, which I find very useful for decorating my ring bands, my cuffs, my bangles, stuff that I make, because I'm more of a traditional silversmith. I use like sheet metal and wire. Then these are half dots, which are kind of cool too. You can do all kinds of stuff. Here's some of my attempts and fails early on when I was doing clay. I don't know. So something to keep in mind with precious metal clay is there is a shrinkage It depends on what clay you're using, but as you can see, I didn't give myself enough room around these. They sat really nicely. I mean, they're in there, but as you see, it distorted when it shrank the piece because I didn't account for that, and I didn't give enough space by the CZs in order to not do that. And then this is another piece which turned out fine. This one's fine, but what happened is when I fired it in the kiln, it changed the color of the CZ, and this was a kind of an olivine peridot maybe, but it changed so I was doing it for a piece for my daughter-in-law for her fur babies and for their months and birthstones and stuff. And her birthstone, she's in August, so that didn't, I mean, it turned out great. It worked out great, and I was able to set these in these kind of two bezels and everything, and that was a good practice. But it changed colors. I mean, that's another frustrating part about when you have to fire your CZs. Now, you can also set these after you fire too, which I probably will do from now on. I'm a little bit leery about firing with any kind of stone because it just seems like you can test fire them too beforehand, which is probably what I should have done. And then this is a ring that I did, which it turned out really nice, actually. There's a couple, I got to sand some spots. I haven't really refined it or anything. And then I set the CZs in there, and they turned out good. But when it shrank, I could feel the cullet on this side, which is the start point of the CZs. So I didn't get the clay thick enough. So there's all kinds of things, but it's all a learning curve. And I think this CZ cracked. So, but it's definitely a learning curve. And you got to figure it out. But it's kind of like silver, though. There's really no waste. You can, send this in to be refined or melt it down and redo it again. This is another piece I did out of a tree branch, but I got this because it broke. And you can see the difference when you do metal clay, it's almost like a grainy part. And I'm not sure if this centered well or not. I did kiln fire it, so I don't know. And when I went to bend it into a ring form, it snapped on me because it was twice this long. So that was kind of interesting too. And I kept this just to kind of see. I wanted to ask somebody maybe that was more experienced with clay if it hadn't bonded. Because precious metal clay is made up of silver, depending on fine silver, very small portion of copper, and then some organic binder and water. And so it's a little bit different beast, I'm telling you. So there's a lot of trial and error with it. But as for like the little components, I absolutely love being able to mold them and then fire them and patina them or polish them and put them on like some of my finished pieces. If I'm doing like this is more traditional stuff, but I would have loved to put some finishing touches in here, maybe some kind of a leaf maybe, which is wonderful with that. I just didn't have that mold at the time. But like I was saying, this is wire, but you can do the finishing touches. You could do some flowers along this side, on the band if you wanted to, but you could do all kinds of really cool adornments on your traditional metal smithing that you couldn't. And another person I would like to recommend that has a channel here is Pam West. She is a phenomenal clay artist. She has a lot of helpful beginner videos. Rather than, because like I said, I'm not that experienced. I've only been doing it for about 3 years, and it's a lot of trial and error still for me. I'm more of a, like I said, a traditional silversmith. So I would recommend that you check out her channel. She's wonderful. She explains it very well. She has several tutorials on silver, base metal clays, which you might think, oh, it's, you know, be cheaper to do the base metal, but they have a more of a finicky, some of them can't be torch fired. Some of them can. I just actually bought some from Clay Revolution. That is, it's called 5-star clay, and I'm going to try it out, and I'll probably make some videos of that. I brought some, I really want to work with some bronze clay. Because it's kind of got that gold tone, and my one daughter-in-law loves gold, and it's so expensive, you know, working with gold is a lot. So I was thinking if I could find something that still gave her that look that was more economical, you know, to make jewelry out of, that I could do that for her. So that's, I'm going to try that, and I'll give you guys an update on that. But as you can see, I'm going to pull these in. That's probably a little soon, but, you know, I'm a little bit of a risk taker, so we'll try it here. So now this is going to be the check button, and I'm just very gently releasing it from the mold. And I'll bring the button up. Let's see. And a beautiful impression. Very, very pretty. Just going kind of back just to give it, make it even, but that actually turned out amazing. As you can see, the impressions you get are phenomenal. And then I'm going to take out these turtle beads next. I'm just using a pair of pliers. You could probably use a needle. I'm kind of pulling where the opening of the hole is here to get them out. I just distort the mold in much, sort of there when I pull the leg out. Another reason why I like to kind of, maybe I'll go in this way. Another reason why I like to do multiples, and what I'm doing is I'm lifting straight up, or as straight as possible. Just kind of wanted to show you this process, and give your molds time to cure before you do this, but for the sake of time, I'm just pulling them out a little bit earlier. But as you saw, they come out really easy, and you get a phenomenal mold. Look at all that detail that you get. So there's those. I'm going to leave the skulls in a little bit longer because we just did those. Next, I'm going to show you one more thing. Sorry if this video goes a little long. You know me. I was watching a video and of another tutorial. I like to do that. You know, it's good to get back to the community, especially you know, people nowadays, you know, everybody's struggling, and if I can watch a video to help somebody out, I will do it. And especially, I mean, it takes a lot to do these tutorials, and a lot of people are, you know, they edit theirs. I don't do that as much. I just don't have the time. But man, some of these channels really put a lot of work into their videos and stuff. So help people out. I mean, if you're sitting there on your phone anyway, which a lot of people usually are, watch a video. Help a creator out. Give them a comment too. That helps. Like it at least. If you don't want to subscribe, don't subscribe, but at least like it. And might have got a little bit of too much of the white. Share it. Give them a comment. Let them know that you're doing, you know, what they're doing, something that you're liking. So I'll put that one in there. All right. closing those up. So I'm getting equal parts again of the yellow and white, and I'm going to blend them together again, same process. Yeah, but as I said, I really enjoyed a lot of Pam West's videos. I'll link her channel down in my description as well, so you can go to her channel and really scope out her videos, because she's definitely an expert in the metal clay. And she'll give you lots of good pointers and ideas, and if you're questioning something, definitely a good resource. Okay. Now what I'm doing here, this is probably a really big patty for what I'm doing, but I'm going to press this down a little bit. I'm going to leave this one on the acrylic since I'm not going to do any more. And then I'm going to take my finger. This is going to be a fingerprint. And you're going to want to go in straight. Press even pressure. Doesn't have to be a lot, and it doesn't have to squish the clay down too much. I'm going to sit there a little bit, and then I'm just going to raise up. And the reason I left it on the acrylic block to do that is because it holds it, because as this, you saw it pulls right off of the thing, but on here it'll hold a little bit better, and that's better for when you're lifting the finger up so the clay does, or excuse me, the mold doesn't stick to the clay. And as you can see, you get a really nice fingerprint impression. Now, you'll have to let this cure and then you'll make another ball of your molding, 2-part mold, in order to do a reverse. And what I mean by a reverse is you're going to put your molding compound, your new molding compound after this is cured, down in it, and then you're going to press it in there lightly and let it sit there. And then you'll pull it up, and you'll have a stamp basically that you can put onto your acrylic block and stamp into clay, the fingerprint into clay. So it's a 2-part process, but it's super cool to be able to do that. And you can put your child's fingerprint, your grandchild's, your children onto a piece of silver metal clay. Excuse me, silver metal clay, and you can give that as a present. I'm going to do something like that for my daughter-in-laws of my granddaughters this Christmas. So I will show you that project probably as well. I'll just give you like a little preview of it once I finish it. But as you can see, there is so many things you can do with this mold compound. You're literally limited only by your imagination. Let's see if I can pull out one of these skulls. I'm really curious. I don't want to do my son a bracelet. My youngest son, he likes my jewelry. So my older son does too. He'll wear it. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it went down in there. Cool. I think I'll leave the other ones a little bit longer. And as you can see, it doesn't hurt the bead at all. But yeah, that's going to be cool. Might be a little deep for what I'm doing. I might do a more shallow and a face up. But see, this was it. You just try and figure out what you like, but nothing's wasted. Like, you can use polymer clay on these and make stuff out of that, because I know there's some phenomenal polymer clay artists out there that do some really cool stuff with it. I mean, they do faux gemstones, all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. But I'm already getting way longer and babbling on. I was reading comments on one of these tutorials, and the lady's like, I like how you just get to the point and you're not just rambling on. I'm like, oh gosh, she's probably not going to like my videos if she watches them. But another thing before I wrap this video up, I'm also going to be doing the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. We've reached actually over 1,000 now, and I'm super grateful for all of your guys' support and wonderful comments. And it has something to do with the comments, which I've already taken. The people that are entered already are in. I did that because I wanted to do it to people that were genuinely interested in the channel, not people that were just trying to win a prize. I mean, Nothing against that, but I really wanted to give back to the people that have given me so much. So I will be making a short video about that here this coming week, and I'll probably do the actual announcement of the winners this coming weekend. So until the next one, I'll be seeing you guys. Thanks a lot for your continued support. And if you like this, please like it and give me a comment.